All right, so I want to talk about my work in progress, and just talked about this with Luke before we hit the recording, so I just want to get it on camera, and that is I am more persuaded now than ever that there are three superpowers that we've got to have to be relevant in the future AI world, because it's not a future world, it's already this world. That future is already here, it's just not evenly distributed. And what the modern world is demanding of us is that we make a trade off from precision planning to decision planning. It's only three letters difference. But precision planning means that I want to really be elaborate and detail oriented and a control freak on the depth, breadth, and quality of my plan. I want to plan with precision because somehow I think that gives me the ability to either predict or control the future. If you actually could do that, then precision planning is what you want. There are actually some circumstances in our world where you can appropriately use precision planning, like in machining parts in a factory on the shop floor where you have very controlled conditions, very high quality raw materials, a precision instrument that is calibrated, and an expert who's using it, and you can afford to be very precise in machining those parts. That's not what the stock market looks like. It looks like something else. And so a shift to decision planning is one that says the circumstances are so volatile that I have to make decisions when the circumstances call for it, not because I thought I could plan when it was going to happen, but I have to be attending to the situation around me, looking for the criteria that tell me it's time to make the decision now. I knew I was going to have to make that decision, I just didn't know when. But by planning that decision and looking for the inputs and the standards to judge by, now when I can just let the trade be the trade, and I can monitor the environment, and when the signals come in that says it's time to make the decision, I have planned to make that decision in the routine way. I've rehearsed that decision. So it's a different mindset going from precision planning to decision planning. It's the difference between control and prediction and preparation and adaptation. That is the essential shift in our focus. Now, to do that, in my view, in the AI world, there are three skills that you need to have and which you need to help your children develop and your grandchildren develop and everybody on your team develop. There's three essentially human skills that we've got to have. The bronze medal skill, the third most important skill, is command of the English language, because English is the top level programming language of AI. If you can express exactly what you want and what you mean and how it should be in good English, the AI can turn that into program, into solutions. But you've got to be able to express what it is. Otherwise, there's fuzziness and going back and forth and errors that you introduce into the program. So command of the English language is the bronze level skill. The silver medal goes to mathematics, a combination of geometry and algebra. You need geometry to be able to visualize and put things into proportion and feel the elegant simplicity of structure in a visual way. As visual creatures, that's an essential simplification of the world to make it understandable. And then algebra, in order to understand algorithmic thinking, recipe thinking, process thinking, step-by-step thinking, because that's what allows you to structure your guidance to the computer to create the program, to think about a process that can be repeated so that you can iterate towards success. So those two things taken together are the essential elements of math. If you can add calculus and understand rate of change, well done. Not absolutely necessary, but it certainly is an advantage. So the silver medal goes to math, geometry, algebra, and hopefully calculus. The gold medal goes to the 3 E's of emotional intelligence, empathy, and ethics. Emotional intelligence to understand soft skills in other humans. Empathy to put yourself in their position, to imagine their condition, and then to do things that are favorable to them based on your shared understanding of our mutual feelings and circumstances. It forces you to pay attention to other people, to have empathy. And then the third E is ethics, to be able to act on behalf of the people that they may thrive, even if it comes at some cost to you. So emotional intelligence, empathy, and ethics are the gold medal skills that we've got to have. If you can do all 3 of those things, then you're in a position not only to be a leader and a helper, but to be a developmental coach. You can teach people to do those things. You can teach them the skills to solve their own problems, to help them acquire the skills of English, math, and empathy through developmental coaching, which is being able to understand the other person's maximum sustainable rate of learning, their modes and methods of preferred learning, and then structuring the learning environment to help them accelerate that learning. So to be a coach / teacher is sort of a gold medal, or is like the Hall of Fame of bronze, silver, and gold. Now, it just so happens that there are forces at work in the world to convince people that the opposite of that is true. The 4 maybe most important anti-memes that are out there is, number 1, you don't need English. You can express yourself in any old way and be authentic and let people adapt to you, and that you can use words to let them mean whatever you want, and you can go against the common understanding of words to be your own authentic person. That creates bad programs that do not run and which crash people's systems, and it undercuts the ability to work together cooperatively. So the second anti-meme is that you're never going to use math in the real world, so there's no reason to study it. That's what calculators and computers and accountants are for. And that robs people of the ability for them to envision a different world and the means by which they can achieve that through studying procedures and visualizations and rates of change. And then the third anti-meme is the one that says, look, it's every man for himself, get yours and screw the other guy. Protect yourself because the people are not trustworthy. And that undermines the emotional intelligence, empathy, and ethics that we need to cooperate peacefully on a planet where people have different needs and points of view. The last meme that is out there is the one that says you don't need a college education or a structured approach to learning. You can just do a side hustle and whatever, or just accept income from other people as a divine right. And that robs people of the challenge of overcoming significant problems, of seizing significant opportunities that require more than instant gratification. College degrees confer on you evidence that you were able to master complex subjects in challenging circumstances and were able to achieve the desired result. So those 4 things you see everywhere in the world, and they conspire to separate the haves from the have-nots. If you look at the educational programs of rich elites, they tend to be liberal arts degrees in the ancient Greek tradition of the 7 liberal arts, which has a heavy emphasis on language, literature, music, math, science, rhetoric, and politics. And so that's what the rich elites study in colleges that are challenging, and that's what establishes them as the long-term ownership class, because they have been trained in the things that make a difference. Now, I don't know that there's a conspiracy to keep people dumb, but if there was a conspiracy, it would be doing exactly what I just described, and that was trying to persuade people that they don't need English, math, science, literature, politics, ethics, care for each other, and sensible politics. There doesn't even have to be a formal conspiracy for natural forces to conspire to do that. It's part of the consumerist instant gratification culture that's out there that we have to contend with. So those are some of the challenges that we face, and it became really, really clear to me the more work that I was doing with AI and what it was taking for me to partner with AI in order to achieve the results I wanted. And that's about 250,000 words later over the last 4 weeks I've written with AI support. And it has really helped me clarify a lot of separate ideas and established a connective network of beliefs and models that have worked for me. So it's helping me in that sense, and that's what I'm trying to document in the Owl Wisdom Project in Owl University. That's a long-term commitment to people willing to do the work, and that's where I'm storing all the materials. So that's my work in progress this week. I literally wrote a book this morning where I took the Chinese military classic, The 36 Strategies, which is the implementing instructions for Sun Tzu's Art of War. The 36 Strategies takes that into actionable techniques for success. And I asked the AI to summarize each one of the 36 strategies in one sentence, to give 3 examples of that being successfully employed in the world, to show 2 different ways that strategy might be counteracted, and then 3 examples of how it might be employed within our interested in market trading. And then what are some initial steps that might be taken to put it into action? And then what would be some evidence that some opponent is using one of those strategies? What could I look for to help me understand what they're doing? So I put that in a series of questions and asked it to iterate on the 36 strategies one at a time. And in less than an hour, I had 100 pages of a really concise book on that subject, which is going to be part of our training library now. And selected pieces will be in the first book we publish. But I was really impressed with that effort because it illustrated the importance of being able to ask the questions in good English, to use algebra to essentially construct the guidance to the software to perform these functions and iterate through 36 repetitions and then summarize it, and then to have empathy and emotional intelligence to imagine what the intended audience really needs to hear in order to structure the questions in a way that would be maximally useful to them. I want to know everything, and so I tend to go off the deep end. But what is really needed is a action-oriented essence rendered down to a few bullet points for each strategy. And so it was that empathy helped me turn that into programmatic guidance expressed in English, and in less than an hour, about an hour, I had a 100-page book written, sort of as a proof of principle of what I just said. So that's my work in progress for this week. So I'm